Hi there, and welcome to the New to Human Design Facebook group sessions. This is something that I wanted to offer to you on a Wednesday evening going over the next few weeks, and thank you so much for your patience, generators, because this was our first session. Unfortunately, here in the UK, I live in the most southwesterly part of the UK in a county called Cornwall, and when we get battered by storms, we really do get battered by storms. And so our recording of this and our session last week was supposed to be held on Wednesday the 3rd, and this is the first time I've really got my internet back up and running properly to be able to do this for you, so thank you so much for your patience. The purpose of these sessions really was to give everybody who are like-minded an opportunity to come together, in particular within your own types, within your own groups. And that's not to say that it's an exclusive club. This is a generator discussion that we're going to have now. I'm going to talk you through the generator energy and the strategy. It's not to say that, if you're a projector, you can't join this group, or if you're a manifester, you can't join the projector group next week. This is for like-minded people to come together who are really interested in human design as a whole, and to discover how each of the different types work, what their strategies are, so that they can not only integrate that learning into themselves and learn what makes them tick as an individual, but also if you're aware of the other groups as well and the other strategies, then you can also make allowances and you can give other people the space that they need to come into their own essence, their own energy type, to really fully experience that. So that's really the purpose of the group. Like I say, the aim is to talk you through your strategy. And I want to give an overview in this session and in the next 3 sessions going forward. We've got the projector group next week. We've got the manifesting group the week after, and then the reflector group. The reason why I picked them in that order is I've worked off kind of population. So with the generators in particular, you account for around about 70% of the population based on the rave analysis information that comes off Jovian Archive. That system was created by Ra Ulrahun, who is the founder, who received the download about human design and the body graph and how to work that. So it comes from logons, the information that tells us about percentage of population come directly from Jovian Archive. So for the generators, it's around about 66–70%. That's almost split equally between the generators and the manifesting generators. But we will focus on the generator energy as a whole, including the manifesting generator energy this evening. You've also got the projectors, which account for around about 22% of the population. Manifestors are around about 9–10%, and the reflectors are about 1%, 1.5%. So I was kind of taking it in numbers of people that I'm expecting to join these sessions as we move forward. So I wanted to give you a snippet of how the energies work, and also who I am, how long I've been doing this, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. But we'll drill down specifically into the generator energy after we've looked at the whole 4 energies as a group and how you work together. I'll also provide you with some hints and tips as well as to how best use your energy where you need as a generator to direct that. And also a little bit about, the times we're changing. And I think this is why human design is becoming a lot more popular, because we're moving from a period of tribal energy, we're moving from the cross of planning. And this has been a 411-year period, which ends in 2027, of kind of, if you're in my group, then you're all right. You're in my gang, then you can join in, and outsiders aren't particularly welcome. When we move into the cross of the sleeping phoenix, it's more about individuality, kind of that selfish, trait that we all hold within us. And it's important to understand that selfishness is important to have as an individual, because what you're recognizing when through selfishness is who you are as an individual. And I think this is why human design is on the rise, because it is the science of individuation. It's about looking deeply into your design to find out who you are as an individual. And that's not to say that we won't have tribes, but you will identify with who you are. You'll be able to identify with who other people are. And within that identification of each other, that's how you will come together. So it won't be so biased, is how I feel and experience this new age. Other people have different, versions of that. Other people have different understandings of it. This is how I feel through my meditation practice and through understanding human design. This is how I see it going. So it's about learning to be selfish and understand who you are in order to be able to recognize another individual and what their strengths are, to be able to bring your qualities together to create that unity, as opposed to that tribal, unless you're in my group, if you don't wear blue like I do, then you're not in my gang. So moving very much away from that tribal energy into individual energy. And this is why we're feeling a lot of chaos that's going on the planet at the minute. So before we get started, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about me. As your guide, I wanted to give you a little bit of information about how I work, how long I've been involved with human design, my previous practices before coming to this. So I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes because I feel that it's very important for you to understand, who's behind the keyboard writing all this information up and sending this, information out. So the clue of me being a guide is there to say that I'm a projector. I'm a 1/4 emotional projector, and I'm a right angle cross of planning. And I'm also what's called a quad right in the variables, which is going a little bit deeper. That is beneath the line. So it's going a little bit deeper into the practice. So what can I tell you about myself? As a guide, I found that even before I came to human design, I've guided other human beings in their process. So I had a 21-year career in banking, and that was generally in sales, guiding people to the right products when I was selling. Then I became a trainer, and that was guiding my trainees to the right processes and the right way of presenting their work. And then as a management, I was in senior management. I became a regional manager for a bank. And again, that was in guiding practices, guiding people to gain the best from their abilities, to really extract their talents and use them for the better, and also for the benefit of the collective. So that's my guiding influence that I've always had. I've also got in my Pluto, I've got the 18th gate, which is it's the gate of, we call it the gate of judgment. But as I see it, this is an energy that's reaching out to create a better experience. So this is why it's really important that if you want any information, please feel free to ask. I love being asked questions. And when you get a response from me, because I've been invited as a projector to answer your question, the response that you'll get will be best received if you accept my answer as I'm working on behalf of you, but also on behalf of the collective when I give an answer. So if there's something that I see within yourself that can be improved and developed on, it's not for you to take that personally. It's for you to take on board that, yeah, there are improvements that can be made in order to make our experience, my experience and other people's experience, more positive. So that's where I come from with my guiding energy in particular. The 1/4 of my design means that I like to provide a good solid foundation for your learning. So in particular, when I work with clients who are involved in the life coaching practices, I really spend a good few weeks providing a solid platform with lots of strategies for you to take away and start to practice, so that you feel safe and stable within yourself, within a process, within your decision making. So it's that really solid base, but also my first line takes you very deeply into your process. I've also got the gate of enthusiasm in my cross of planning, and I also have the gate of focus, which means that if you want to skim over this, this is not the place for you, because I will take you very deeply and I will get you focused on your practice, which isn't right for everybody. So if you really wanted to delve deep, in particular, if you've got a first line or lots of first lines in your design, or if you've got lots of fourth lines in your design, and also sixth lines as well, they like to really delve deep into their practice, then this is definitely the place for you. So if you're looking for stability, in particular around childhood wounds, is an area that I'm really developed in. Narcissistic relationships as well. Dysfunctional relationships is another kind of one of my specialities. So that's really where I come from. I really guide the inner child prior to coming to human design. I have shamanic practices behind me. I'm also a Reiki master. So there's lots of grounding tools that I can offer to you to give you that stable footing for you to be able to do the work and for you to feel supported. So that's how my 1/4 profile works, on your behalf. The quadrite element to my design is that I take in information very deeply on all levels. It's a holographic view of the worlds that I have, but it's very unconscious for me. So until you ask me questions, I don't necessarily know to offer that information, because I'm doing this very much on an unconscious process. So if you're wanting some guidance, first of all, I need to be invited. Second, it's to recognize that I'm working on behalf of you and everybody else that's in your life. And third, it will be deep information that you'll pull out of me by asking me those questions. And the other aspect to my energy is that I'm emotional. So within my emotional realms, I've had a real opportunity to explore a lot of emotions. So if that's an area that you really struggle with, then I work deeply with emotional work as well, and emotional release. I've had the opportunity to see all aspects of, most of the emotional realm. So that's kind of where I'm coming from as your guide. So just wanted to give you a little bit of information about me so that you know who I am and what I'm doing, and how I can guide you if that's appropriate for you. So let's crack on and actually have a look at the energies. Like I say, I wanted to give you an overview initially of how the energies work. So if you think about yourself as a generator and as a life force, I'll actually go on and show you what that means. This is the genetic matrix program. On the Pro app, you actually get to have an opportunity to make your own charts. So when I'm looking at the 4 different energy types, if we start off with that first, We have the manifesting energy, the manifestors, 9% of the population, who have that initial surge of energy to get something started, but they don't have sustainable energy. So it's really important for the manifestors to be able to see the qualities of the generators, because it's the generators, who have the energy to really take something on board and run with it. And they've got that sustainable energy to see it all the way through to the end. They're the builders, they're the architects. So it's really important to understand that that initial flow of energy comes from the manifestor. It then gets passed to the generator to start building. The projectors are here to guide that energy, guide the projects. They actually have a clear foresight. They are here to see ahead of time what can happen, the potential of a project, of individuals, even going on to, the state of humanity, and we're here to actually heal the planet and create a stable way forward for humanity. So the manifestors create, the generators build, the projectors guide, and then you have the reflectors who are here to sample basically what the rest of us are doing and to reflect back to us whether we're on track or not. So we'll go through in a lot of detail about the different designs over the coming weeks. And so it's really important to understand, not only as a generator, how you work, but it's also important to understand how all of the other energies work as well, because you are the life force on the planet. And what that means is that you're defined in your sacral center here. So 70% of the planet is radiating out this sustainable energy. So I was thinking about how I could describe this the other day, actually. And if you think about water that's on a mountaintop, or on moorland, we have, amazing moors here in the UK, and they're very damp. And there's lots of springs, there's underwater springs that come up, same as on the mountaintops. But you've got tiny little streams that just start. And then it's not until you get into the valley that the power and everything is really channeled into that river system. And it's so powerful, it can carve all the way through, rock, it can carve its way through earth. And this is kind of how I see the generator energy. When you're really not in touch with your strategy and you're not in touch with yourself, then you can kind of be those sporadic springs, not a lot of energy. But when you're really working to your design and your strategy, then you can be a real powerhouse. When you find that passion in your life, you can really channel your energy and get things moving, which is all, what your energy is all about. So for the remaining 30% of the planet, we're actually plugging into your energy. We have no option. We don't have that sustainable energy of our own. Some of us have motors, and the motors are, the other motors that we have are access to the base chakra, or the base center, which is a pulse that is generally off. And then when it's time, this is divinely led, when it's time for something to change, so this is our change center. When it's time for change, then we'll get that pulse of energy, but it's not long lived, it's just a pulse. We've also got the emotions, the emotional solar plexus, which is another motor. And this comes in waves, and it's generally to do with, am I happy at the top end of the wave? Am I sad at the bottom end of the wave? So again, it's not sustainable. It's up, it's down. And then finally, the fourth motor center is the will center. So if this is defined in somebody, then we can harness a bit of extra energy to move forward with our willpower. But again, it's not sustainable. This is directly connected to our heart. and let's look at the state of our hearts on this planet right now. There are too many people using their willpower that really don't have access to that energy. There's only 1/8 of the planet have access to this willpower. So going back to the generators, this is the only sustainable energy on the planet, and it accounts for 70%. So it can be that little stream, that little bubbling brook at the top of the mountain when you're not working to your strategy, or it can be that great torrent down in the valley. So it's entirely up to you how you choose to turn up in your life. And when you're working from your vision and you're working from your heart's desires, then you will really get to benefit knowing who you are and knowing how to work your strategy and be able to really consciously place your energy to the benefit of yourself and to everybody else. But when you're working from your wound and your fear, then this is when you're just that little brook at the top of the mountain. Yes, there is power in that, but doesn't have the potential of that cascading waterfall or that huge body of water that can move and swell. And so this is the sustainable energy for the generator energy. And so you're kind of like a power that the other 30% of the planet plugs into. If you imagine, an electrical supply, and the projectors and the manifestors and the reflectors are the plugs that plug into that. From a non-energy type point of view, we have to be really careful with who we're plugging into, because we want as much power. Because our exchange with you, when we plug into you and we're working correctly and you're working correctly, is that you're going to get somebody who has the power to get something started and hand that over to you. You have somebody who has the positive guidance system that's innate within them from the projectors to guide you to wherever it is that you need to go with your project. You've also got the power of the reflector, who can reflect back and show you where you're healthy, where you're not healthy in society. So it's a co-creative experience. Often I find that when generators hear that, the 30% of non-energy beings are kind of plugging into them, they see that as parasitic. And yeah, when a whole group of people are not working to their strategy, to their innate qualities, then yeah, it can be quite parasitic. But that works both ways. When you are working, co-creatively, and you're both in your power, if you have a generator and you have a projector, for example, the generator wants to know where they're going with this project. They're all fired up. They've got that passion, that fire in their belly to get things moving and going. But without the guidance, then you're kind of left a little bit in the wind, floating around in the ether with some of your projects. So, you want that strong guidance from the projector, and it's important that you're both working to your qualities. So it's really important for both yourself and for everybody else around you to work. The planet needs you to really know yourself. And this is what generally happens with the generator energy when it's not working correctly to its design. The generator energy is looking outwards at everybody else, questioning, quizzing, criticizing, other people. If you want to see a dysfunctional generator, you'll find that they're going outside of themselves for the answers, and also going outside of themselves for, their criticism. They're criticizing outwards as opposed to gently reflecting inwards. So it's really important for you as a generator to really recognize who you are. You're here on this planet to really master your energy, and you really need to know who you are, so that when the manifestor comes along and goes, I've got this project, are you up for it? You know exactly whether you can take that on or not. You know whether it's in your remit, you know whether it's in your skill set. You also need to know yourself enough to know that whether a projector is correctly guiding you. You don't want a dysfunctional projector telling you, guiding you which way to go when that doesn't feel right to you. So you also need to know yourself to be able to know when it's the correct guidance, when it's the correct project. You're here actually to respond to the right people, the right work, the right project. You are very much work focused, work orientated. So so that's kind of, how these energies work together, how they blend together. So when you're working as a generator, your main goal, like I say, is to respond. And how that often happens is you may find that you come up with an idea. And often what I find with my generator clients is that you create the idea in your mind, or you receive an idea, and then you try and act on the idea. Now, the clue for generators is in your strategy to respond. So there's nothing wrong with getting an idea. There's nothing wrong with researching that. There's nothing wrong with finding out information, playing around with it. But it's not to be acted upon, because it's your outer world that's going to create the experience for you. So it's really important to understand that, yes, hold the idea there, but don't do anything with that. So, for example, if you are, you're thinking that you fancy going out on a walk. So, and you're kind of visualizing, this is from your vision, you're visualizing what that looks like. And you're visualizing it with a few of your friends and how you want to feel on that walk. It could be, a walking holiday or something like that. And you can really go through the emotions, really experience that. There's nothing wrong with getting into the feeling of all of that to create it, because actually that's what magnetizes you. That's what makes this vision stronger, by experiencing all aspects of it, thinking about it, feeling what that would be like. But then it needs to stop at that point, because it's the response. You're responding to the right people, you're responding to the right work. So when, for example, one of your friends gets in touch and says, there's this walking holiday that I fancy going on, what do you think? Or you get an email shot through the post and it's talking about a walking holiday in particular. It's at that point that you have an opportunity to respond to something. But then you also have another process to go through, and that is your inner authority, which we're not going to go into details today, but that will be determined as to whether you are a pure generator, which means that you are not emotionally defined, or if you are defined in your emotional solar plexus, you will be an emotional generator. And the difference between the two is the pure generator, when you're really connected to your sacral energy, you will be able to make a yes/no decision like that. It will be instant. You will really go to your gut response. You'll get a definite yes or no. And often that can be heard in noises as you respond, but not always. There's this big thing that your generators make noises, but sometimes we're taught to suppress that. So it's not always something to rely on. But if you do notice your noise, then that's great. You've got that extra backup. But I always like to teach my clients how to really feel it in their body. So I go through lots of exercises, in particular around the life coaching, of how a positive decision using your strategy and using your authority has worked out and how that feels in your body, compared to a decision that you've made that hasn't worked, and also how that feels in your body. So it's really important to get in touch with those feelings, experiencing it within your body. The mind is going to tell you all kinds of different things, but it's the body that makes the decision. If you think about how many times you've overridden your body, your emotions with your mind, and where that's led you to. This is about creating security in the body. This is about volunteering for what it is that you want to do, as opposed to feeling obliged and coerced into something. This is about knowing that the body has enough energy to move forward with a project. This is about knowing that this is a safe place to be, that it's stable, that it's secure before you step into this, and also knowing that it's the right time. So really assessing that in your body can be really quite crucial. The other experience of making a decision is the emotional generator. And there are different experiences of that depending on whether you're defined from a collective, through the collective gates, through the individual gates, or through the tribal gates. There are different strategies for your decision making. But ultimately, if you're emotionally led, and we'll probably run another session on the actual individual decision-making processes, but just as a brief, when you are emotionally defined and you are an emotional generator, then there is no clarity in the moment. You have to wait a set period of time. You have to wait through your emotional wave before you can actually make a decision. But again, it's to do with the body. It's got nothing to do with the mind. The mind is there just to think about things, conceptualize, do a bit of research. That is all the mind is there for. It's the body that will ultimately make the decision. So the goal is to respond, and the challenge in particular for the generator is to understand their process, to really get to know themselves through mastering their ability to step back when they reach a plateau and to not quit. So it's really about learning to quit correctly. You know, in some instances, it is important to let something go, but built into the generator energy is this natural plateau. So you may find that you take on a project and you start working with it, and you're building, learning how you are designed to work with this particular project. And it's really important to know that whatever project you take on, it gives you energy when it's really passionate for you. So if you have to do the 9-to-5 job and it's not great, then, you know, see that that pays the bills, but always have a passion project on the side, because that's what fires you up. That is what turns you from that little mountain stream into that torrent of energy. It's passion led, it's passion driven. So if you're going to work and you're going, oh, I don't particularly like this, but it pays the bills, but then you're coming home and just sitting in front of the TV and going, I don't really like this either, you're not going to build your energy. It's really important, because this is a battery, it's a sustainable battery, but it is a battery that you run your energy down before you go to bed. So you must really spend your energy physically, you know, through exercise. This isn't mental draining that you need, or emotional draining. This is actually a physical drain. So if you think about your battery on a computer, you know, the most effective way, the most efficient way to prolong the life of your battery is to charge it up, which is what you do overnight as a generator, and then to expend it throughout the day, and then plug it in again, and then charge it up again, and drain it right the way down to zero, and then plug it in again and charge it back up again. So as a generator, you naturally charge up on an evening. Through your sleep, you're charging up. So it's really important to understand that in order to get a good night's sleep, or to feel satisfied, because that is your natural state, when you feel satisfied, then that means that you've really drained your battery. It means that you're doing your passion project as well. So the flip side of that is frustration. So when you feel frustrated that you haven't got your passion project, when you feel frustrated in your body because you can't get out and do that exercise, you know, that's where you can sometimes quit early. You can sometimes let something go too early. Rather than stepping back and surrendering, you're trying to force and push and push and push. By stepping back and surrendering and looking at it from a different angle, and I don't just mean, you know, giving it a couple of days break, I mean actually really surrendering, really letting go of the idea of how something should work, what feelings you should expect, who should be the key players within this project. When you really step back and surrender to it, then you get to experience that next level of mastery. So it's about, when you get to that point of frustration, knowing that that's your clue, that's your key, just to step back. And by doing so, you give yourself that rest, and then suddenly a new way of working, a new way of being, a new experience will pop into your consciousness, and you'll get to go to the next level. So don't worry about plateauing, because if you can wait it out, you can surrender, then it will be presented to you as, this is the next way forward, or this is a good time to let that go. It isn't working. So you get one route or the other. And with the manifesting generators, again, it's the same process. It's about waiting to respond. There can be a frustration, there can be an anger in the manifesting generators, because they have got that initiating energy, but overall you are generators, and it is still about responding. But with the manifesting generator energy, it's about making sure, again, that you respond to the right people, but also that you are working to your full capacity. Now, with the manifesting generators, it's really important that you've got lots of different projects. You can spread your energy over many different things, and it's essential that you do that, again, to charge that magnetic energy of your solar your sacral energy. But when you are busy, so lots of projects is very different to busy. If you're busy, you don't get to lift your head and see what's going on. And again, you can get sucked in and forget about surrendering. So it's really, really important that you have projects, lots of projects, but that you're not busy. You know, lots of manifesting generators that I meet want to keep going. And it's really important that you have those projects, because you are here to get us from A to B as quickly as possible. You're here to find the quickest route. And sometimes the frustration for the manifesting generators can be that they've got to take a step back. So in the overall process, if you set a manifesting generator and a generator off on a race, you will both get to the same place at exactly the same time. But it looks initially as though the manifesting generator has got from A to B really quickly, but then they often have to do a little detour and go back and just change something, just tweak something to make that whole process from A to B streamline and more effective and efficient. So that's the main thing with the two energy types. So it's really burning your battery down and having your passion project, learning to respond, you know, manifesting generators, lots of projects, not lots of busy. You know, you're really here to show the planet. All generators are here to show the planet that there's a time to work and that there's a time to rest. You guys can really get that right if you're working to your strategy. And you are 70%, you're radiating out this sacral energy. 70% of you are radiating that out. And so when we look around us from a collective point of view, we have to look at that vital energy force on the planet, and it's pretty waning at the moment. So, for us, non-energy beings, the projectors, the manifestors, and the reflectors, we're kind of going, come on, guys, get with the program, get working with your strategy, really build that energy so that we've got something solid to plug into. And the same with the other generators that are around you. It's that ripple effect. When you start working to your strategy, you become magnetized. You create the right situations in your life. You create the right things to respond to. And so when people see you doing that, they want to know what it is that you're doing, and they're going to start asking you. And it's at that point you can share what it is that you're doing, or send them to a guide like myself who can talk them through their own strategy and show them how to work to their unique talents. So that's a brief overview of the generator energy. Now, when we do actually do the live situation, the live sessions, what I want to be able to do is give you an opportunity to do a Q&A session, so that each of the sessions will have a little bit of information about each of the strategies. So for example, on Wednesday the 10th, we'll talk about the projector energy, how that works. We'll look at the different emotional themes that are involved in that. And then I'll open it up to you to ask questions or to share, with everybody how that works for you, being a projector, what your own process has been like, learning about being a projector, what you're struggling with, and there may be other people within the group that can identify with that and go, yeah, this is what I did to get out of that situation. And of course, it's about hearing other people's stories, receiving that information, but really discerning and figuring out what you can take and what you can leave. What somebody has to say isn't for everybody, but there may be a clue in there as to how you can develop that and play around with that idea to suit your own individual personality, your own individual energy. So I hope this has been useful. This will be on YouTube, so you can play it back as many times as you like. You can also find it on the New to Human Design page. I will put in the link about the Genetic Matrix program that you can sign up for if you want to create your own programs. My best way of learning about my energy was actually through Genetic Matrix. There's an interactive section on there that really helps you to understand your energy, your centers, your channels, your gates, and it's really specific to you as well. Like I say, I also do readings and I do life coaching. So there's a couple of options there. If you want to delve deeper, like I say, I am a first line. If you want to delve deep, I will take you extremely deep into your energy. But the readings are there if you want to just dip your toe in and have a feel of that. But please, do put some comments in. If you have any questions about what I've said, if you've got any questions that are concerning about your own energy, then drop a comment in either the Facebook group or drop a comment on the YouTube, and I'll take some time to come back and answer those for you. So I hope this has been useful to you. Please do join me, even if you're a generator, please do join me next week on the projector program. I really do encourage you to not only understand your own energy, but also to understand everybody else's as well, so that you can see how you can benefit each other. It gives you clues as to how to look out for your good guides, your good inspirers, your good mirrors in your life. So I do encourage you to take some time and have a read of all of these. So I will look forward to seeing you on the 10th. See you soon. Bye.